Pastor Curry, pastor of the East Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you can do about it. Today with Coffee with Curry, I have a treat for all of you Wilmingtonians. I have State Representative Stephanie Bolden here with me today, and we're going to have a nice cup of coffee together, and we're going to talk about her time in Wilmington and the things that she's done in the state representative area. So let's call somebody real quickly. Tell them Coffee with Curry is on, and let's get after it. And we're back. As I promised you, we have State Representative Stephanie T. Bolden with us today, and it is a joy. It's been a long time having an opportunity to talk with you, and I know you've been busy doing so many wonderful things for our community, but how are you doing first?
I'm doing fantastic.
Great.
Really great. I've been blessed by the Most High, so I've been able to perform and do the things that I need to do.
Amen. And what I usually do on the front end of our shows is before we talk about various things that people, their professions and things of that nature, I like to make sure that those who watch me know the people I'm interviewing or talking with today. And while you are no stranger to anybody, if you're in Delaware for any amount of time, you should know Stephanie T. Bolden. But I just want to help us out a little bit. Talk a little bit. You were reared here in Delaware. Just give me a little bit of your background.
Sure, I'd be glad to, because most people don't know, especially the younger generation. I was brought up by a 66-year-old dad. I was born when he was 66. My mom was 36. However, she passed. I was at the age of 5. So I was raised basically by most of my girlfriend's parents, my surrogate moms, I call them all. And my dad, every girlfriend I had was his daughter. Okay. So I was raised we first lived on Poplar Street before I changed it to Clifford Brown Walk, and at 610 East 11th Street, where I remain today. I stay in the community in which I was born and raised, was able to walk to school. We had Stubbs, and I was right across the street from Stubbs, but I was late every day on it. I walked to Bancroft, and I walked to Howard. So my dad was very inspirational in my life, along with the neighbors, because we had neighborhoods then, and everybody knew who you were, and you could leave your door open at night and sleep, let the breeze in, etc. But he was an advocate for people, and he instilled that in me in terms of my values and respect for others and my elders. Whatever he did for me, he would do for a kid in the neighborhood. If he took me to the dentist, if they couldn't go, he would take them to the dentist. Wow. So this is how I got involved, basically, was it instilled with me in terms of giving back. I had every opportunity to go on to college. I've lived several places in D.C., Bermuda, Boston. I went to grad school in Boston. And each and every place that I was able to live, I would always find some type of an advocacy to be to those particular people, children in those neighborhoods. So I believe that you do what you can while you're able to and with the resources. And I always believe in reaching back and giving back, regardless of what you've accomplished in life. It wasn't accomplished on your own. And my serving and everything I've done in the community has been a result of my dad and the people that raised me, my teachers. We got hand-me-down books, but the thing was, we were able to get the other essence of life from our teachers who lived it. And they lived in our neighborhoods as well.
Wow. Yeah, so you had shared how you went to Stubbs, you went to Howard. Where did you do your undergrad at?
My undergrad was my favorite place. Del State University was Del State College then. And we had the business department. I'm a business major. Was where the cows and everything else was down there. It didn't look like it does today, which is fabulous.
Yeah, it has been a lot of change going on down there. But I've interviewed several people over the last couple of weeks, and we had on a city council woman who's running for a state representative. And she went to Temple. And I told her, I said, well, based on where Temple was placed, quite natural. We consider that to be HBCU too, but we know it was not. But you are a certified person who graduated from a historically black university.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Oh my God, it was the best experience ever. my girlfriends were going to Morgan, and I wanted to go to Morgan where they were going. And my dad, of course, he could not afford it. So he says, well, you're going to have to go here locally. And I was upset at first and saying, okay. That was the best experience that I could ever have had. Going there and, well, even with the restrictions and everything that were there, these are things that you appreciate that are not in schools today. I was able to meet my roommate who was from Boston, and we networked and got together very well, very friends. I was a part of Student Government Association there. I was in the Student Activities Building. I was the assistant to the Student Activities Director as a student. And that allowed me to get a job as Director of Student Activities when I did come back to Delaware at Lincoln University. So, excuse me, sorry. I was there for most of the time. But I was on the cheering squad. I was captain of the cheering squad, believe it or not.
I believe you. I believe you.
Those were the experience. I mean, I had to get acclimated to being there at first because I had a car. Right. My dad gave me the car on campus. He took it off after he saw my average the first semester.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No more HBCU. Okay.
But it shows that you can excel and you learn. And, oh, my God, it's just with the networking, the friends. I'm still very good friends with the people that went there before that even were ahead of me. My big sister was the Miss Delaware State University. Okay. And my big brother was John Land. Who used to be with Delmarva, and since I'm passed on. Yeah, but I encourage everyone. That's why I set up my scholarship fund, which I did for kids to go to HBCUs. Yes. That was the Burton Phelan Scholarship. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Yeah. They were to be able to let them get that experience. I always say, go to an HBCU. Yeah, you know, you can go to all the Ivy League, other schools, the big name schools, but you're just one person there. Here you get to know who you are, what you're capable of, and be able to carry that on with you through life. Then you go, if you want to get your master's or doctorate degree, then you know, try some of the other ones.
Absolutely. Now, you said, I didn't know, you said you worked at Lincoln.
Yeah, I was Director of Student Activities at Lincoln.
What year was that? You remember?
Interesting. I came back here in the 80s from Bermuda. I taught and lived in Bermuda. And the gentleman that was Director of Student Activities at Lincoln was from Bermuda. His name was Tony. And I'm coming back from Bermuda. I end up taking his position because he goes back to Bermuda. Okay. So... yeah, I did a lot there. I learned a lot. I'm a person that believes in going to conferences and learning from others. So I set up different types of pump handles and things. That was something for the freshmen when they first come in to get together. We had music and food, and they had to stay with somebody they didn't know. So they got to know them and felt comfortable. I did coffee houses, which we would have jazz or a comedian or things. Wow. And I brought in a lot of different people. I had Julius. That was somewhat of a disaster. I had what's his name, JJ. It used to be on.
Walker.
Yeah. And they thought he was coming to be a comedian, but he wasn't at that time. He was coming to give a message. He was advocating, you know, for teens and advocating for different, giving back to other people, which he had done through being on that show. I had James, what's his name? James Meredith was there. And it was interesting because he wanted to know, well, where can I find a soul food place to eat? And we were at Lincoln. I said, well, go to Knotty Pine. And he came, that's when Knotty Pine was open on 11th Street, came down. He was so grateful to have had that experience.
Wow, excellent. Now, were you under Niera Sadorcas there, or who was the president? You remember?
Oh,
or was it before her?
No. I was wondering. Oh gosh, can't even think of his name. Doctor. He was a PhD in physics.
Oh, you were under. It was before Niera because you were under Doctor. Not Bond. What was his name? I can't think of his name either. Right. But the reason why I say that, you know, I'm a Lincoln grad.
Oh, are you?
I am. But I came at the late '80s. Okay. So you had already gone when I got there. But but when you were speaking and talking about the various experiences that you had as an undergraduate, and then as a graduate, and then you came back and you gave to a HBCU, and you understand clearly the love one can foster when they go to a HBCU, and I'm grateful to have you sitting in that seat, you know, and touching both the oldest historically Black college and the Land Grant College here in Delaware, which was great. You bring to the table a strong sense of community. And when I reached out to you, because you didn't reach out to me, I want the community to know that, you know, she didn't reach out to me. I reached out to her to come on our show. One of the things that was in my head was such a class act, such a person who understands what it is to be a powerful woman. Now you may not see yourself as that, but you have done well in our community, and now I'm starting to see you were reared by your father and all the persons in your community, so you steeped in the community, and that's just phenomenal.
And it's a blessing.
Yes, and then you also steeped in your faith. You know, and then you move it to how you serve the community, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm just glad that you are serving us.
I appreciate that, and I thank you also. I should have at the beginning for the opportunity to be here with you, because I know just how much you do in the community and how steadfast you are in getting the things done. That's very important in going forward. One of the things I didn't mention is Linda, what's his name? Oh, God, Ty Johnson's wife.
Oh, Lisa. Yes.
Lisa was under me.
Oh,
and
that's how she started.
She was my assistant director of student activities, and she took over.
And that's when I came to Lincoln.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
I came to Lincoln right behind her.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, and then when she left, I became student activities director. Right? I was trying to figure out how to throw it in there. Okay. But Lisa Johnson is even like a mentor to me when I was young and in college, and she really looked out for me at Lincoln.
God.
I would not have been at Lincoln State, survived Lincoln, had it not been for Lisa Johnson.
She was a fantastic person, a student. And was ready for that position. I was glad when she got it when I left there, because Dr. Lockley, was Dr. Lockley still there?
He was leaving out. He was vice president when I was a student.
Okay.
Yes, and he left a couple years later. Then she served under Dr. Eddington.
Branson,
that's his name, the PhD. So you said physics, I said, okay, that's who it was. But Dr. Branson was
Dr. Branson, loved Dr. Branson.
And he had retired. And when he retired, Neera Sudargasar came in, and that's the year I came to Lincoln.
Okay.
And people were giving her such a hard time because she was a woman, the first woman historically at Lincoln University, which is the oldest historically Black college. So when you were talking, I was just reminiscing. I was like, oh wow, now I see the connection. I feel it. And the
Lord Asparagus.
Oh yeah, and he's still now he's not there anymore, but he's still around.
Yeah, I know he is.
He's still around.
Yes. And Andrestine
Robinson. Yes.
Everybody had gone to Lincoln that were in these positions.
But that's what happens at Black colleges. They take care of their own, and that's what I love about them so much. You name it, people that kept me at Lincoln. I'm like and Lloyd Johnson. I mean, there were many times when I didn't have enough money. And he found a way. I can't get into how he found a way, but he found a way to keep me there. And Lisa was very much there when I would have some issues with my temper. She would be the one who would forgive him, work with him. But this is wonderful. So the first part of the show is always to get to know the person. So people, they see you down there trying to get legislation passed. They see you trying to work in the community. You're doing various things, some things that some people love, some people may not. But the heart of the person is what I always like to get to. That will speak to what the person wants to do. I often say that child abuse is when a child only knows the hand and not the heart. When you understand the heart, it's different. And reason why I have not been around you a lot, but I've watched carefully. You've not heard me criticize you because I know your heart, and your heart is to serve people.
It is.
And I'm not saying that just because you're sitting before me, but I'm saying that because that's the truth.
Just prior to even being elected, I was in the national, ESAP program, was the East Side Substance Abuse Awareness Program. I worked under Barbara Warsham. I'm sure you remember Miss Warsham. She was a pillar into the community. We had just the East Side area in which to do this program. I'm very creative in some of the things that I do. So I turned parking lots into roller skating rinks.
Oh, wow.
Went to the businesses and got donations of hot dogs and things like that. We would have hot dogs there, and we get a DJ. So the kids get the roller skates from Parks and Rec. Use those. Then we did, I'm old school, so drive-in movies. What was my drive-in movie? I said all the parents, they bring blankets to the park. We did Holloway Park and Kirkwood Park. And I got a big screen apparatus and the other whatever to be able to show the movies. I was able to get movies from the library, which were good. I rented a popcorn machine, and they would come with their families in the park with a blanket.
Wow.
So we had drive-in movies, okay?
Right.
It wasn't they were driving in, but they were able to walk in.
Right.
Those kinds of things. And when People's Settlement was active, I used to, on Saturdays, have donuts and orange juice and milk for the kids so the parents could go shopping or do whatever they did. I kept them from 9 to 12. And we also had tutoring programs there. I set up consortiums, landlord consortiums, housing consortiums, parent consortiums, father-son get-togethers. I used to take them to the Sixers game with their father and their son, and I had mother-daughter events. So all of these kinds of things, you can be creative, and it doesn't always have to be money given to you to do, but you have to look around and see what's there and try to utilize it that way and use the businesses.
Right.
We had business consortiums, so they were able to give back to the community.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, those are the things that I felt were important, and I'm just tireless. Once I start, people say, well, when are you going to stop? I'm just tireless. Once I get out there and start doing it, it just gives me more and more energy to keep on going. Yeah. And I love it. I'm a retired teacher. I would only teach high school. I couldn't do the little ones, but I had high school because I always felt that was the group that was neglected in a lot of ways, because a lot of programs were always put in for elementary school or lower, but they were never anything for the high schools. And these were the kids going home to the younger kids. In some cases, they were their big brothers or big sisters. So I had a great rapport with my students. I taught business law and accounting. I have several students now that are lawyers and that are financial analysts, as well as entrepreneurs, etc. But we had a good rapport because there was a contract that I felt was important to set up. That contract said, these are the things I'm responsible for. This is what you're responsible for.
Right.
And the first day of class, we sat together and I talked about myself to them so they would get to know me and asked if any of them wanted to share with me.
Right.
Those were the things that I think instilled the trustful relationships I had with my students. And then maybe once a month we'd have Walt's Chicken.
Oh, Walt's Chicken. That's another staple in the community.
And Mr. Walt would come out there. I mean, Mr. Shepard would come out and bring it too. He was,
good guy.
So that's it. I mean, that's a lot about me. I'm a humble person because I'm not one to say, oh, look, I did this and did that. And you didn't know I did that, or my name should be on this. But it's not that way.
Absolutely.
It's always what God instills in you and allows you to do, gives you the energy and just the fortitude to go forward. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back because there's a whole lot more we want to talk about. So we're going to be right back.
All right. Thank you.
We're back. Great conversation we're having today with State Representative Stephanie T. Bolden. And I'm excited. I didn't get a chance because we got so into the last conversation to ask one of the questions that I wanted to make sure that was answered. Because the question in my head always is, what gives her drive? What keeps her steeped? And, you belong to some sorority. Could you help me to understand what's going on with that?
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
And I did pledge and grad. You know why? Because my niece, which is older, because my brothers were all old enough to be my parents.
Okay.
She was with the Department of Music at Del State.
Okay.
She was a terror on campus, and she's going to kill me for saying this, but nobody could pledge while we were there. They were waiting for her relatives to come.
I can identify.
Yeah.
I can identify.
We were waiting. So everybody was scared to death, myself and also my other niece, Claudia.
Okay.
We both went to
but
Del
you're in the, as an undergraduate at Lincoln, before I went into Omega Psi Phi, I was a Delta Gen. I love Deltas. I love everybody, but I am crazy about Deltas. Anything they ask for, they get. and you I see where your drive come from, because everything in Delta Sigma Theta is steeped in service and community.
Definitely, and giving back.
Yeah.
Each one teach one.
Amen. If something happened, and I want to give you more time to do as much talking as you want to today, but something happened, and I never will forget. I was new pretty much here in Delaware, and I heard all these people saying, she shouldn't run. Don't run. Don't run. This is when you were running for the state representative position the first time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why are they saying she shouldn't run? They give me their reasons. And okay. And then you did it anyhow.
Yeah.
I said, oh my, I like a person who's bold and courageous, and you won.
Yeah.
Can you help us with that?
Sure, I'd be glad to, because there was a lot of misconception. But one thing I'd like to indicate that when you look back, I was the first African-American female since 1976 to run for city council.
Right. Okay.
The first one was Hattie Phelan.
Okay.
And she died in 76. I got elected in 92. I was so excited because James Seals had won to be the first African mayor for the city of Wilmington. I forgot I had won because I was so excited because he had won. We all ran at the same time. But prior to that, I ran in 1988 against then was Councilmember Joe White. And we were so excited. We couldn't believe we won. We won by 15 votes. And we went to bed a winner, and we woke up the next day a loser because they found 15 absentee ballots. It was funny. And that time, my Uncle Herman Holloway Sr. was in office. I called him crying and said, oh, what did I do? Don't worry about it. You know, this was the old school back then when you had the Leo Marshalls and the Bill Burks and all of them. One was in charge of the Department of Elections, and Leo was the city clerk and also in charge of the Democratic Party here. So I'm sure they made some. Anyway, I continued to work on with my little hand contraption showing people how to do write-ins, going door to door, et cetera. And then in 92, I won by 68% of the vote.
Oh, excellent.
But and going forward, Hazel and I were very good friends.
Right.
I was at her home when her granddaughter was killed, and the baby came over that had been under her, and at the time, you know, the blood, everything. I was at her home when Al came home and dropped dead, right there at the foot of their home, the sidewalk there. So we've been very good friends the entire time. I was able to work with them, with Senator Henry and Representative Plant at the time, and myself being on city council. We were three women that worked together because I thought that's very important when you got Black women in those positions. And in order to get anything done, you need to be working together, be friends, you know, be able to show people that they have some unity among their elected officials. That's what we did. We used to go to Philadelphia. We used to go to Zimmern First, go shopping. This is her. And we met at my house. It was Senator Henry, a girlfriend of mine, and Hazel and myself, just having lunch and things like that, conversation. And I said to her, whenever you are ready to leave that position, I would like to run for it, and I'd like to have your support. And she said, I will. And whenever you are, whenever I do, you know, you'll have my support. Then it became somewhat of on TV shows being it's my turn kind of a thing, that it was like a dynasty. Well, it's not a dynasty. And be perfectly honest, Al was the one that mentored me going forward. I used to be on his shows. I'm the one that was able to start District News because of him. He used to always let me do the third Sunday of Crossfire. And so there was a working relationship with the family and respect. So when I ran, it was because I got the impression that it was being said that they would only stay in until the last minute when you can't, you know, and then they would resign that position. And because nobody else had filed, that person could go in the last day for filing. So I didn't say anything. I sent out 100 letters to the people I knew, and there's no way they can't say that they didn't get them. And I explained the situation, and I talked about our meeting at my house and everything else. And I said, I'm not going to allow this to happen to me because, and then she was very ill, and I felt some sense that why would you push somebody into this position that is suffering. You know, why aren't we working more to make her comfortable, to get her through this this particular year and going forward? That was the reason. That's how it came down. There was no animosity with us at all.
Right.
It was people in the background trying to work to get things done.
And I'm so glad you explained that, because there are people who had a perception that there was a fight and that you had done her wrong, when most of us already knew that was not true.
No, that was not true at all.
Yeah.
And we talked even after it. And I'm glad it went prior to, because it wasn't long before she had passed.
I was going to say that.
She was very ill.
And what would have ended up happening is somebody who the powers to be would have put somebody in the position to take it, and it would not.
Right. Well, it would have had to still be a special election. And speaking of special election, because when Al died, it had to be a special election.
Okay.
And some of the same people.
Okay.
I don't want to be, disheartening about anybody. However, some of the same people that when we said it's her turn to go in, the wife always goes in. Something like that. Kathy Cloutier went in after when her husband died and stayed in there for years. So it was her turn to go in. But you had other people that in that special election that had the audacity to run.
Right.
To run. Okay. To run against her. I ran her campaign, matter of fact, for the special election.
Okay.
Yeah, but they ran, and it was the same people that ended up sitting on her show.
Acting as if they're friends. Well, but secretly, that's why I like you, because at the end of the day, no one dictates to you what you should do, and no one defines you, and I think that's very important.
And I think it's important also to know that I'm the first African American woman. I was in office before any of them. Okay, any of them. I mentored and encouraged some other people to go in. I was in before Margaret, because she came in after our uncle died. But I was in 1992. See, people forget that. And I tried to encourage a lot of people, females, to run, but they wouldn't, because they were well, I can't say a lot, but people were afraid of things being brought out that they did as kids and all this other stuff. I said, look, it doesn't matter. They're going to talk about you or create something.
Right.
So, but I always wanted to make sure I explain that, because I'm not somebody who just came along to say, I want a job. I want a title and money and to dress up or something like that to say, look who I am and refer to me as this, that. That's not me. Most people address me as Stephanie or younger people that respect you as representative or Miss Bolden or Miss Stephanie. So it's all about values and respect, and it's not about a title.
Yeah, and we're going to go on to talk about some of the things that you have accomplished as a state representative. But you said a name, and I just got to say, I'm so fond of her, and that is Margaret Rose Henry. Also, we call her our Southern Belle. My wife and I really have great respect for her. I know she has been doing so great with her health right now.
She's doing a lot better.
Oh, she's doing a lot better because I hope Margaret, state representative, senator. I'm sorry, you are a senator. Excuse me. That you doing well enough to come on the show at some point. But I've always respected her as well. And when we needed help, she showed up, like many of you have done as well. So it's great to know that you even kept good company around you.
And we're still good friends.
Good. So we got a couple minutes left in this segment, and I just want to start the conversation on you're running again for state representative. There are some things that you have accomplished while being there. Could you just share a little bit of that, and then we're going to go to a break, and then we'll come back?
I'll talk about one specific thing that I did, and it was my first 2 years there, and that was dealing with seniors. That's been my pet peeve, seniors in foster care, because I'm a foster mother as well. But I did this bill which dealt with exploiting seniors because I run into, as a council person, I was trying to work with two ladies that lived in this 3rd representative district, councilman district, that people were coming in saying, oh, you need your roof fixed, you need this. And they were writing out checks to do it, and they didn't need the roof fixed.
Right.
Another relative put their name on their deed. And so then they took all the equity out of the house. The deed, she ended up losing the house, ended up being in a state facility as she got older and passed. So I did this bill. And it took me 2 years because I had to go work with the banks as well as the Department of Youth and Family Adult Protective Services and many other organizations and people were lobbying for, and it was called the Adult Exploitation Bill, Exploitating Bill, which was signed at Sacred Heart 1 over on Madison Street under the auspices of Governor Markell.
Okay.
And this prevents people from putting their names on if they put their names on their bank accounts or on their deeds or anything like that, exploiting a senior financially, that the Department of Adult Protective Services will come in and then they will report it to the Attorney General's office and these people will be prosecuted. So that bill, that was in 2010, 2011, something like that. That was one of the first. The other was with foster care. And a lot of times people, kids that are in foster care, what has happened, they will use their Social Security numbers to either get their electric bills turned on or to get open up a charge account, etc. This bill allows the state of Delaware, when they exit out of foster care, to be able to go through their credit and repair their credit at no cost to them. And if there's fraud or anything like that, then they can also prosecute those persons. Yeah. So those are the two most important.
Well, both of them speaks to the vulnerable, and you have been an advocate for the vulnerable. The seniors, number one, that's my heart. What you did in that area, it was so much needed. We are building. I'm going to give a general overview real quick of the facility, a senior facility here, where if you're 65 and older, as long as you can manage yourself, we want to make sure we have affordable housing for you. One of our members of our church, I won't give any names right now, the church is well aware of it, worked very hard for East Zion Fair. She was very much here cooking, doing all the wonderful things that a lot of our seniors do for their churches. She got sick. Alzheimer's had set in, and the family just exploded her. I mean, it was before your bill came out. And when I heard about your bill, I said, man, if this bill would have been 2 years earlier. She had to end up going into a state facility as well, lost everything. And the church, could not help her. So I said, and we're going to name the building after her, that we got to get in a position where we can take care of our seniors. Because most of them have really paved the way for us, especially those of us who got an opportunity to go to college, those of us who got an opportunity to do well. So thank you for that heart. And then even with the foster care system, and that's a whole lot to that. And my wife and I are deciding right now whether or not we're going to try to help some child who needs somebody in their life or during a transitional period. So both of those bills are very good bills, and it speaks to your heart, and we appreciate that.
And me, from being a foster parent, I raised 2 girls. Okay. And I adopt them as my own. Yeah. One lives in Charlotte, North Carolina now. The other,
I just left Charlotte. The Q's convention.
and yeah, I have 7 grandkids now. Okay. One great grand, I think. Okay. Now with 7 grands, I have to try to keep up with them. Okay. So when people say, "Oh, you have kids?" You didn't have any kids. I said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Well, when?" I said, "Well, my daughters were born at the age of 14. Okay. I got them at 14, and I kept them as long as they stayed with me as long as they wanted to, and they are very productive. My youngest one has her master's degree, etc. Has worked for the state. Okay. And is doing well.
Excellent, excellent.
And so is my oldest. I mean, she's the one that's in Charlotte. She has her own. She's become her own entrepreneur. She's doing all this baking, and everything. I wonder why she was gaining weight, because she's doing that's all these great cakes and cupcakes. Oh my God, she's excellent cook and everything.
Well, listen, this is just great. We're going to come back and we're going to take a real quick break, and then we're going to come back for the last segment. And in the last segment, we're going to give you an opportunity to share how we can help and what we can do, and any other things you wanted to share about any of your accomplishments. I just want to make sure that people know. Stephanie T. Bolden, we'll be right back. And we're back. Well, I want to make sure that we really get some good time in this area. State Representative, a lot of people don't understand that you are a senior member down in Dover. You've done some great things, and I want you to share with the group some of the things you just accomplished just this year, so that they will be able to know. But also, you serve on the joint finance. To lose that spot would create major problems for the city of Wilmington. So I'm going to give you some time. Just talk about some of the things you've done.
Sure. First of all, I'm grateful for the Speaker of the House that's had the confidence in me. I was first on Sunset Committee, which oversees, calls in all of the agencies that fall under the governor. And you're supposed to review them like every 7 years. Of course, you know, so many of them that you get to do. So first I was vice chair, then chair, which allowed me to do a lot. And I just want to plug in something from there before we go off. The other thing, I'm on joint finance now as a result of the Speaker of the House that feels that I deserve to be on there. I took the place of J.J. Johnson when he retired. So I'm the only African-American female that is from the city of Wilmington that was on there. Now, lately we have a senator from the House, that is. Now we have a senator that's there as well that just came on last year, which would be Senator Lockman. However, I have been advocating for the city of Wilmington for many, many years because, and for Del State, because, you know, Del State's an agricultural college and there was a land grant fund that was supposed to be going to Del State that they weren't getting the match from the state. I allocated and they got that in there. But just to explain a little bit, Joint Finance Committee is the overall budget committee for the state. And it takes the governor's budget once he presents it, and then we go through it. We can either add to it or take away from different various parts of his department. The Joint Finance also is the Appropriation Committee. The Appropriations Committee we look at legislation that has fiscal notes to it. So we look at the cost to the state and if we're able to fund those that are required. Then the third part of it is the grant and aid. And the grant and aid is for all the nonprofits that apply for it throughout the year. So we try to increase grant and aid. 1 year we had to leave it as it was because we had the deficit. However, we were still able to get, but this following year, we were able to bump everybody up. This past year, if we were able to, everybody in grant and aid that applied, that was approved, received a 3% increase.
Wow, excellent.
And then other things, if you want to try to get some things done for organizations that are continuous and you can see the results, then you can put it in epilogue language. So that ends up, they get it every single year, you know, can't take it out. Then whatever, we allocate a budget to the bond committee. And the bond committee is the capital committee. So any capital projects that are being done, such as what you're doing for the senior center, it goes through bond. And that money is allocated from there. But the people in the bond committee are the ones that select the applications that they want to fund. And the application can be a 1 year or 2 year application. You know, it can be, you know, so much this year, then you come back, apply again the next year. Then you have a mini bond bill, which some people that weren't able to get in for some things are able to be put in the mini bond. So that's the important of it. And Gerald Brady used to be on bond. So we had nobody for the city for bond. And Darius was on bond. You always have a House member and a Senate member on each committee. So because the Democrats are the majority in the House, we're able to put more people on JFC than the Republicans have. We have the majority of the place on JFC, and the same would be bond. So you have currently in bond, Nicole Poore and Deborah Hefferman are the chair and vice chair. Yeah, but that's really important. To know about that, what's going on with that whole issue. And I brought you some information I'm going to leave with you. This one important bill, it was HB 30, which is a primary bill. It's a voters' rights bill. And that's the bill that Elaine Manlove, before her passing, when I talked about Sunset Committee, well, on the Sunset Committee, we had the Department of Elections. During that meeting, at the end, we asked, is there anything that you see you need done in the Department of Elections that we can put into a suggestion going forward or into legislation? Hers was, we would like to have the date of our primary change to be the same time as the presidential primary. That bill, geez, I can't even remember what year it went in, but it's been 4 years I have put that bill in. The first year it failed in the Senate under Patty Blevins. The second, third, and fourth year, it has never been put on the agenda. Now, what does it do? It sets the primary the same time as the presidential primary, which would be in April. Okay, it saves the state over $1 million because you don't have to continuously open up schools, etc., on the same time. Okay, it allows a larger window for those that are serving their military to get ballots out and get them back in time. Currently, you have to get them out in August to get them back by September. And then again, get them out in October to get them back by November. It's a 45-day window. So a lot of times they have to get the extension because they're not getting back. You know, with the mail now, the way it's been, it may be even worse this year. So, and then it keeps the confusion out of voting. Our primary has been on a Saturday, then it was on a Tuesday, then it was on a Thursday. It was on a Thursday because of the Jewish holiday. So there's 3 different times, and when you look at the overall participation of the primary, it's been less than 18% the entire state. It's a very important piece. So some of the questions that the Senate had. Well, we're still in session. Well, to me, you have 4 years, okay? If you're still in session, you have 4 years of work. We have 2 years. We're every 2 years. If that were the case, who would be upset would be the people in the House. But in the House, it has passed bipartisan. 36, 39, you know, with one person absent or one person abstaining, the whole time, every single time it has passed in the House, and it gets stuck in the Senate. So even with that, leadership does the calendar for the year. So leadership put together and changed the calendar. So it would be we go back in January. We're in for like 2 or 3 weeks in January. Then they're out the entire month of February and the first 2 weeks of March because we're in joint finance. So I'm there all the time. So we put together a calendar which says, okay, you'd be out the whole month of March and first 2 weeks in April to make it work for them. But it still never got on the agenda this year. And it's not the opposite holding it up. It's the D's holding it up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's something.
So, and I have I'm leaving you with the information. It's less confusing. People don't go. They say, well, when I'm going door to door, well, why? When is it? Oh, well, it's the 13th. Okay, but wasn't it a Thursday before?
I think the people who sit in power and don't want change want to keep things moving so they get their base out to do what it needs to do. And we're smart enough to catch on to that. But what we need to do is, and we will start putting that pressure campaign on the Senate to say, look, it's time to pass it. Because they just passed one legislation, I think, out of the Senate regarding, well, I think the governor just signed something where you can register the same day to vote.
Yeah, well, that same day voting, that is, and we have also, same day voting. Now, that hasn't come out yet. That hasn't passed. Absentee.
Okay.
We did extend the absentee. I think it's Senator Gay that is doing same day voting is right. The mail-in voting, that's the one that's being very controversial.
Okay.
Right now, because I'm just listening to some of the talk shows, et cetera, locally, that are saying, oh, that allows for people to cheat and all this other stuff. Yeah. But that I just want to mention these were the major things that I was able to get done this year. It was in updating the budget for the fiscal regulations and state agencies. That was the one major thing that we did in going through that. I established the Racial Equality Consortium, which that came out of the Justice for All agenda from the Black Caucus. And that is going to carry on looking at all the disparities and how they can improve any of them, or those that just need to be demolished or whatever, for brown and black people throughout the state. So, and then we removed the barriers for expungement for qualified individuals. Tools to improve and address domestic violence cases. There was a lot of legislation. Stronger background checks for those that with firearms, and as well as the framework for full-time substitute teachers. So they'll be paid full-time, You know, if you're substitute, you'll get a full salary with their Delaware Relief Rebate Program, taxpayers, and the coverage of doula.
Okay.
The doula, right? Now that was one of the ones that was a bill that had a fiscal note, so it had to come through appropriations, and we funded that so that could go forth. And the last one I'll just mention is more mental health professionals in our middle schools,
which we need that very much.
Definitely.
Well, I think this is great. You got an opportunity to share with our community, which knows you, okay? And I want to make sure that those of you who are watching us today to know that there's no political agenda I have other than those who support the community that we live in. This church, this city is very special. And when I heard that there was an individual, and we won't get into that person because we won't dignify that person. But when I heard, I immediately said, somebody put him up to run because you are too effective in the Black community. So they'll put us up against each other and we run against each other. Now, I can understand if you weren't doing nothing or you were going against what we need done. But we watch your record. And I don't have a problem with speaking out. That's not one of my issues. It should be sometimes.
We're glad that you do.
But it's not. And I was very disenchanted. So that's why I reached out to you.
Thank you.
And said, I need you to come on the show. And this won't be the last time before election, because I need to figure out how we can help. Because what people are doing now is they're trying to find ways to put little stuff out. People too old, and they don't understand that's really illegal to even talk like that.
Word of mouth. They don't research or even call me.
They
don't bother to.
But the reality of it is you have served our community well, and you're still serving our community well.
Thank
so
you.
What I want to do is there a way, just in case someone needs to want to volunteer or want to give a donation, how will we get in touch with you? How do we do that?
Yes, well, thank you. If they want to volunteer, they can always call my home, which is 302-428-1269, or you can go online. I'm on with Act Blue online. You can just put in my name. You can make a donation, and it's also a place there where you can sign up to volunteer, etc. So any of those areas there, and my home number is always given out.
Yeah, I see you give your home number out.
That's my home number. That's my landline. That's the safe place.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, and I think that's important. And I too, as I shared, the people who I support, I don't have an agenda, a state representative where I need you to do something for me. But I need people in position so that when my congregation is suffering, having issues, even when you were coming over, people were calling you, trying to get you to do help them out. Yeah. And you were trying to make it happen, being late even for this show because you needed to help someone else. These are the people we need. And that's why I don't mind putting my talent and my treasure to support them. And while I may not be able to get out and knock on doors with you, I want to make sure that I'm not an in-the-closet supporter of Stephanie T. Bolden. All right? I am out public, and I'm going to make sure I give you a donation, too, and I'm going to let you come back so you can say he didn't give his money yet or he gave his money because I want you to win.
I appreciate that.
And I believe you will win, and we're going to do all in our power. Now, is there any struggles or challenges that you may be facing right now that maybe I need to help you with or you want to share with the community so that we can work together?
It's not a challenge for me directly. It's misinformation. Okay. And the misinformation is with rental assistance.
Okay.
Okay, because we have money from the federal government which has come in for rental assistance. Okay. Those that are behind in their rent or need help with their rent, and mortgage assistance. We just got that program as well. So there's misinformation out there about all these people are being evicted from their homes, et cetera, and they're not. They're not. And they're saying they're all in the 19801 or 19802 area, which goes throughout the whole city. 19801 or 2 goes all the way to Dunleavy, and that's not a city tax base or whatever. So I've worked with a couple of people right away, which a lady was the constable was there, was getting ready to be evicted, and was able, but she had put her application in for the rental assistance, and she moved, or no, she changed her phone number. So when they were calling, trying to get in touch with her, they couldn't. Okay. So the application was sitting there. When I called about the application was there, she got the money, was able to stay there. Matter of fact, I'm going to go visit her today. Okay. So, And there's another person I helped that wasn't even in the district. But people call, but there's money that is there. If you're having problems with your rent, call the house, the Delaware Housing Department, and there is money that's available to assist you with that. And we just got money in to assist with mortgage. I ran into a person last night when I was walking door to door that indicated they were having some problems with mortgage assistance. So I'm going to work on that today to see where the application is, because it was put in.
Right. Well, always remember, the Bible says to know them that labor among you. We know Stephanie T. Bolden. We want to work with her. We want her to continue her quest, and we are not ashamed. You have represented us well. My soror, my fellow HBCU grad, but most of all, community activists. We thank you for the work that you've done. We're going to stand with you. And if you get tired, you're not heavy. We're going to help hold your hands up, all right?
I thank you so much. I thank you for this opportunity. Yes. It's been great conversation.
Yes, it has been. And it's because your heart is right, and that's what matters the most. All right? We'll be right back.
I would like to personally congratulate the Honorable Stephanie T. Bolden for her induction in the Delaware Women's Hall of Fame.
Stephanie has always been a person to help people.
She is very compassionate about the people in her district, because Stephanie grew up with just a father. Her mother died when she was very, very young.
My mother and father and all the other girlfriends, sister friends that she has, we all took Stephanie in. We all treated Stephanie like she was our own, like she was our blood sister. So I think with that, knowing that people are so kind and giving, I think that makes her want to give back even more, because people cared about her and still do.
So in a way, the community helped to bring her up. I think that accounts for her compassion and her commitment to her community, is that she grew up knowing how important community was to one.
Stephanie's political career has included 20 years of Wilmington City Council, where she served as the first female appointed president pro tem, and she established the Burton Phelan Scholarship Fund.
Every year, she would have a fashion show or a dinner to get kids matriculated to go to school. She just went out of her way to do anything to raise money to help the kids in the community. And let me tell you something, just last week, Stephanie took a young lady that graduated from Howard High School, very good grades. Stephanie wanted to get her out of the community. She wanted to stay around the community, and that community area where she wanted to stay is really bad. Stephanie got her a scholarship to Delaware State University. Not only did she get her a scholarship, she borrowed my car, because I have an SUV, to take this young lady down with all her belongings so she could register to go to school. So it never stops. It just never stops.
Stephanie is now starting her 6th term as a member of the Delaware House of Representatives, representing the 2nd District.
The thing that worries me a little bit is that she will get on the corners and fight the drug dealers. And I said to her, Stephanie, that's a little dangerous because those guys are bigger than you are. But she said, they have no business on the corner. They're interrupting people's peace and quality of life. And she will actually, I've seen her go out and talk to them.
Stephanie will step out. She'll step out on faith. She will step out where I wouldn't do some things that Stephanie would do. But she is just so confident that things are going to work out, that she can help someone, that she's just going to go above and beyond whatever it is. And I just can't say that enough. She's just always been this way. It doesn't have to be for form or fashion. She's not out there just to get her pictures taken or saying that she's done these great things. Beyond the camera, beyond people being around, Stephanie T. Bolden is Stephanie T. Bolden. She will always be the same person till end of time.
Congratulations again for being a caregiver, foster mother, educator, legislator, but mostly for being an honorable person.
And we're back. What a great show. I am very grateful that State Representative Stephanie T. Bolden decided to stop by and just chat with me. I learned a whole lot. I had an opportunity to feel her heart and to feel her. We have to be careful not to be trying to replace people and not understand and going off of rumors and innuendos and things of that nature. She has served us well. Our job has to be to protect those who have protected us. I don't know who the individual is that's running against her, but the reality of it is that doesn't matter. We're not going to be negative. What we will do is we will vote. And we will vote and continue to vote. You cannot sit home. She has shown that her heart for the seniors, she doesn't want the crime in the city or in her district, but you have to vote to keep her there. Being on that finance committee is very key. Losing that spot, losing the seniority down in Dover will put us at a disadvantage that's unrecognizable. So I hope and trust that you enjoyed the show today, and I'm going to bring her back, and I'm going to continue to support her in every way that I can so that she may get the victory, and we, the people, will also be able to get the victory. Until the next time, God bless.